Warning, this is potential Pittsburgh-related content, but hey, this podcast goes worldwide. But you know what? Let's talk Pittsburgh. Jolly. Yinzer, Giallo. Jolly.
I said, hey, Hyperburst your mama, take a walk on the south side, and the Polish girl sings.
One night, Bill and I were watching The Majorettes, and Bill said to me, do you think this is a Jolly? This is regular occurrence. He asked me this almost every movie. This is genre inspired by Ellery Queen and Edgar Wallace and German crimi films. Got to start in the early 60s thanks to films like Bava, Massimo Dell'Amano, and Umberto Lenzi, amongst others, were finding its true bloody heart in 1970 thanks to Argento's The Bird of the Crystal Plumage. If you listen to the show all the time, you're one of like 30 people and you're saying, I already know what a Jolly is. Look, I'm trying to reach out. Anyways, I continued watching the movie, a low-budget slasher flick written by Night of the Living Dead co-star John Russo. The question kept knocking around my head. If I were born anywhere other than Western Pennsylvania, so much of that film would seem like any old movie, but this movie's theme of someone being obsessed with the innocence of young women and feeling the need to kill them is definitely right in line with classic Jolly, like Don't Torture a Duckling, Fulci in the Province is dealing with the religion. And The Bloodstained Shadow, which has the fascinating alternate tagline, alternate name, Solamente Nero, Only Blackness, which is pretty awesome. By the end of the evening, I came to admit that pretty much The Majorettes is a Jolly. There are at least 4 other movies I could think of that were a whole new genre, and you know how much us fat nerds like making our own genres. So Yinzer, Giallo. What is Yinzer if you're not from Pittsburgh?
Ghost of Carolyn D. Fonseca here. If you're not from Pittsburgh, the word Yinzer is historically used to identify the typical blue-collar people from the Pittsburgh region who often spoke with a heavy Pittsburghese accent. The term stems from the word yins, a second-person plural pronoun brought to the area by early Scots-Irish immigrants. Pittsburghers, Yinzers, speak with a certain patois that transforms simple words like downtown to downtown, and ideas like being a busybody and snooping to simple junk drawer catch-all phrases like the word nebby. I'll use it in a sentence for the benefit of anyone that hasn't been within 100 miles of the Strip District. Why yins be in nebby? Mind your own business.
I love Pittsburgh. Oh my God. A Rick Seebeck doc will make me cry. Literally, my wife goes, is it nice? And yes, it's nice. And I adore Jolly together. Oh my God. Fries on a salad, just like Pittsburgh. That's the main thing Allegheny County is contributing to the world of cuisine. So what is a Yinzer Jolly? Well, there are some rules. As you'll notice, the Yinzer Jolly breaks from some of the traditions of what is a Jolly. I will say there's a murder. Generally, it's great if the person doing the killing's got black gloves and we see killings from their point of view. The lead character is often impacted by the killings of accused of them. They're often a fish out of water, foreigner in a new place, confronted by shocking violence. If the movie isn't about murder, it might be an FY Jolly here. A psychosexual freakout where the lead character undergoes a drug-like or drug-filled odyssey through a permissive time period, or thinks they may have killed someone and can't really remember all the details. Maybe it was in a dream. If possible, religious guilt, please. This makes sense the most. As Jolly is from Italy, a country that has the Roman Catholic Church own country smack dab in the middle of its largest city. Not so coincidentally, the number of Italian immigrants in Western PA that are also Catholic and have the same morals central to growing up Yinzer, well, yeah. Artistically, there should be high fashion. Well, for Pittsburgh, beautiful people, abundant nudity, red herring, nonsensical plotlines. You should care about discovering who the killer is more than the kills themselves. To wit, if the movie at any point makes you believe in the killer, or the final girl is the most important element of the story, you're watching a slasher, the cheap American cousin of the Jolly. Could be a Pittsburgh Jolly, Yinzer Jolly. The film must accomplish all the above when possible, and also
be true to its Pittsburgh roots, meaning that the movie must be filmed here while speaking directly to the experience of growing up in the city. If the movie has been filmed here, it must reference Pittsburgh and not have the city stand in for another town. It must feel authentic, which helps several films on this list, as they are movies with moments that only make sense when you're a lifelong Pittsburgher. Bonus points for featuring Pittsburgh landmarks, Steelers jerseys, and local brands. Trust me, seeing a can or bottle of Iron City in a Yinzer Giallo is like a J&B bottle in a traditional example.
Without further ado, 4 minutes into the episode, here are a few films that I would say are Yinzer Giallo. Up first, Season of the Witch, 1973, directed by George Romero. Plenty of movies been made in the Steel City. This is one of the most important. I subscribe to the notions of no less than Joe Bob Briggs, who opined that modern horror started in Pittsburgh with 1969's Night of the Living Dead, a movie that ferociously broke with the Universal monster and B-movie scare science fiction tropes. Represented our neighbors and family members as a cannibalistic threat out to get us, as well as the people outside our doors ready to destroy the hero because, yeah, Pittsburgh's complicated. Black people are just as much a threat as flesh-eating ghouls. After Night, Romero kept working in TV commercials and seeking other films to direct. His first follow-up, the comedy There's Always Vanilla, which makes me think of this Edgar Wright quote about Romero: "There was always a sense that George had interest in films that stretch beyond the realm of horror. It is a romantic comedy. It does not work as well as it should." Romero's second commercial failure was this film, which was later re-released as Hungry Wives, with Sexy's Dead by its distributor. After the success of Dawn of the Dead, it was reissued again as Season of the Witch. The film neatly fits in the genre mode of films that are less about murder and women waking up to their feminism or sexuality at the dawn of the 70s. It fits in neatly with the lizard in a woman's skin and all the colors of the dark. Ironically, releases in the U.S. is a Night ripoff with the title They're Coming to Get You without the ending of the movie. So it ends with the cult attack and you're supposed to think they're zombies. Both these movies show how the supernatural, drugs, and sex can take a woman away from boring suburban life and show how committed servitude, uncaring husband is not a way to go. But the outside world can be more interesting, darker, and often deadly. Often these films are trying to take Rosemary's Baby and make it work within the constraints of the Giallo form. Joan Mitchell is Jack's wife at the title, a woman with a daughter, that's the original name, Jack's wife, leaving the nest for college, and a husband is often gone. When he is around, he constantly mutters about the need to kick some ass, which more often than not is hers. Soon she learns there's a coven of witches in her suburban neighborhood somewhere in the North Hills, and that by joining them, she can have the men her daughter sleeps with fall in love with her while discovering a violent solution to her marital woes. Of course, you also have to deal with the terrifying visitations of a demonic masked man. A Season of the Witch, or Jack's Wife, not a traditional Giallo, still fits into the genre. A feminist movie made by a man trying to understand the massive and sweeping changes that 1973 would witness. That leads us to another Romero movie and my favorite Romero movie, and that's Martin.
My name is Martin. I'm 84 years old. People think I'm crazy when I tell them how old I am. I'd like to be normal. I just have a sickness. The only way I can survive is by drinking blood. It's not easy living the way I do. I have to be careful all the time. But I'm pretty good at it. I think as I get older, I get better. I haven't been caught yet.
Martin, another kind of terror.
You see, people don't understand what's wrong. They think that I'm a monster. They think I'm a vampire. People don't realize that those things I see in the movies are not real. I don't have a whole lot of women. It's nice to watch them. I watch them a lot all the time. I have to be sure that nothing goes wrong. I follow them. I plan. I'm very careful. I have needles now. I can use them. I can put them to sleep. And it doesn't hurt.
Martin, another kind of terror.
I would like to be like everyone else. I have to do things that I don't necessarily like to do. But I want to stay alive. I do need blood.
From the director of Night of the Living Dead, Martin. Another kind of terror.
Martin is Romero's greatest film, and one that perfectly encapsulates Pittsburgh, casting it as one of the movie's main characters. Braddock, at least, a dangerous place that may have lost its fangs, but one that can still claim young lives. Robin said the more supernatural film is Suspiria, for example, the less jolly it is. Yet Martin, a film about a vampire, is on my Yinzer Giallo list. The answer is simple. Why? Martin believes he's a bloodsucker in the mold of classic films, a romanticized ideal, when the truth is, he's just a boy, just a little boy trying to be a big boy. A dark dream that must be aided and abetted by drugs and a razor blade. When I say it above, if you care more about the killer, the movie's a slasher. The real monster in this movie is its setting, which has lost the vital blood of young men who once worked its mills and mines that kept it alive. And the old men left behind, like Martin's uncle Tatakuta, will not break from tradition or remain trapped in the days when the word of men in the church was not just respected but feared. Martin may believe he's a vampire, but Tatakuta is dead sure of it and equally certain that he will destroy him. With its thrilling stalking sequence on a train juxtaposed with the sad reality of what's really happening, Martin has moments of bloodletting that bring it into the jolly while flirting with the supernatural, yet never going so far from its hardscrabble Braddock roots. Man, effects.
Okay, let's see a movie.
Nobody is going to believe a spurt of blood.
They'll believe anything we show them.
She's pretty good with that razor, huh? You gotta put her in the movie.
Well, I still don't know what to do when he comes in.
No, you're fine. You're stoned. You're confused. Besides, everything's happening too fast for you to even be scared.
It's trash. Killing somebody on film? It's sick.
No. This isn't what I thought it was.
Tell me, Dom, do you think people would pay to see something like that?
Sure, people pay to see anything.
Directed by Dusty Nelson, little known outside of Pittsburgh, until Synapse released it on DVD in '85, and then later when Agfa re-released it, the film often gets the label of a slasher. Mine's much deeper territory. When the movie starts as a story about a team of coked-up horror movie-making maniacs ascending on Ligonier near Storybook Forest to make a film about coked-up psychopaths making a snuff film in the woods, the meta nature of this movie, made decades before that kind of exploration was accepted, creates a film where the violence the crew is lensing is more real than the murder they expected. In essence, everyone in this film becomes the stranger in a strange land that the Jolly Form seeks as a hero, all unsure whether they're just a character or victim in the hands of the killer. Not a well-known film at one time, but now you can find it everywhere, and you should if you haven't.
The high school majorettes. They're so popular, so pretty, and so desirable. You just can't take your eyes off them, and that's enough to get them killed. One by one by one.
He knows who we all are. And if he's determined to come after us one by one... One by one? It gives me the creeps.
One by one. They're never too young. They're never too old. They're never too late to give the last performance of their lives. Leave it to the co-author of The Night of the Living Dead to take the majorettes apart.
The aforementioned The Majorettes was directed by S. William Hinsman, released in the UK as One by One. It's claims to be a slasher, but it's a jolly for several reasons. And one, the plot is in no way straightforward as a slasher, consistently shifting who our heroine or hero is, saying that multiple points of red herrings and use the central deceit of a killer, needing to preserve the innocence of young girls is his or her reason for needing to slay them. Russo had already directed 1982's Midnight, film I refer to as movies Rob Zombie keeps trying to make. Pittsburgh Press film critic Jim Davidson's Savage saying the film is grave and heavy-handed. Russo isn't doing grand goal. He isn't spoofing Satanism or catering to an audience who enjoys silliness and artificiality of horror movies. So basically the guy hated the movie because it played it straight. Cool, whatever. The Majorette's a shambling mess. But it stated at the beginning of this article is a film that becomes a Yinzer Giallo because of the central touchstones lost with this far from our city, and how many Gialli that I love are it a horrible mess, not just a shambling mess. VFWs, the double seedy strip clubs, look for bottle iron city bottles all over the place. Several Steelers jersey and a snake. I've been in these bars. An above ground pool is a quick reference to the affluence of one of the girls. That only makes sense if you're from here. If you have an above ground pool, an in ground pool is how you know you're rich. But they have a fake above ground pool. They probably got from Pool City. And it has like a deck around it and stuff, so it looks fancier than it is. So you can tell they're trying to be rich. Every one of these girls has the hairspray-enabled hair claw that I saw in my teen years. People had big hair in the 80s, right? Well, girls in Pittsburgh were like fighting to see who got to tear a hole in the ozone layer. Film also does what Giallo always does, and what makes it so uncomfortable to watch for in some modern frame of mind is sex is an exhilarating thing that is a sin that causes your destruction, except this isn't a faceless maniac in the woods. It's an authority figure out of control. The first of many in this film, as the only person able to truly have agency, becomes a murderer and succumbs to the shock of what he's done. Priest, nuns, cop, every one of them's horrible, and the only one who's innocent in the film is an old woman in a wheelchair who can't communicate. Midnight, also written by Russo, closer to a rural slasher than a Giallo, but its lo-fi SOV sequel, Midnight 2, Sex, Death, and Videotape, it's so close to making the list. Set parts were shot in Akron. If there's one thing I dislike, it's another city taking the place of our own. See Stigmata, never bring it up to me. Oh my gosh, Lady Beware, we've already done an episode of the show about Karen Arthros made The Matthew Cage movie about two incestuous sisters, one a astronomer, the other primate-obsessed lunatic, part of Von outbursts, fading away in a decrepit Hollywood Hills mansion. The Hollywood Hills. Man, what a great movie. Her contribution to Yinzer Giallo has been selected because Diane Lane's character is the dream job of nearly every fashionable Pittsburgh girl in the 80s. A window dresser for Horn's department store, a venerable downtown institution sadly long gone. Now the verse of Yinzer speak when you sell someone to mind their own business. You say, does Kaufman's tell Horn's their business? These are two downtown department stores, both gone now. There's a Five Below. Inside Kaufman's, I get very upset. She's also decorates her mannequins. Another Giallo trope, right? Mannequins in kinky poses, clad in lingerie. Pretty much enough to qualify this woman. It goes even further than Diane Lane be stalked by a murderous, married psychopath. Striking distance. We've already done an episode of several episodes of it in any other city. Striking distance. Not well known. Pittsburgh. It is beloved. Rowdy Harrington's return to the city of his birth, initially called Three Rivers, was due to star Robert De Niro. Things didn't quite work out. Despite all the issues Harrington had making the movie, it's the Gone with the Wind of Pittsburgh. Mostly for a car chase that logically combines Pittsburgh neighborhoods, leading to a line best reference to Pittsburgh traffic. Take Bigelow. It has a stranger, a strange land. Bruce Willis's homicide cop Thomas Hardy, now off the force and on the River Rescue Squad, which does not exist. His life destroyed by his claim that the Polish Hill Strangler is a fellow cop. What Tommy do, Polish Hill? And that killer hasn't stopped murdering people. Besides killing Thompson's father, also Fraser's father, he's now murdering every woman that Tommy ever dated, which is plenty of ladies Bruce Willis could and calling the ex-cop to play Little Red Riding Hood while taunting our hero. Also, the killer has black gloves, plenty of red herrings, inner family secrets. Perhaps the best that Steel City has ever looked on film. The fact that River Rescue Squad doesn't exist is the saddest thing I've ever learned in my life. I was happier when I found out that Santa might not be real. Anyways, just a few more. Santa Claus, directed by John Russo. While this film may not have the proper elements of proper Giallo, proper twice proper, SOV, the deepest dive into the heart of downtown Pittsburgh I've seen in any movie ever. If you wandered Market Square in 1996, you'll be amazed. It's all back. The gigantic National Record Mart, G.C. Murphy's with the awesome library, if you will, of magazines, and the Oyster House, all making appearances. And if you're really there, you remember the mysterious novelties, a store that always smelled of incense, sold nothing but hats. Certainly not the front for some criminal business, probably owned by the same family that owned Hare Krishna up the street, as well as several other stores. And in this movie, I finally saw that Novelties is where the killer buys his Santa costume. Novelties long gone, now a Dunkin' Donuts. Raven Quinn, what a name, played by Debbie Rochon, an ex-Scream Queen turned housewife. It's her husband, instead of realizing he has Debbie Rochon at home, keeps sleeping with other horror stars, drawing Wayne, the Santa killer, and his holiday murder spree into their lives. Imagine if Night Killer was made in Allegheny County, and you have this movie, and I couldn't be happier about it. More Pittsburgh than fries on your steak salad. It's trash, but the best kind of unrepentant trash. The dance scenes remind you of when the Edison Hotel wasn't tied to a national group of men's clubs, and Shakehammer was a place you were potentially worried about walking into. Don't get me started on the Roman 5. Russo also made Heartstopper, a vampire movie set in the Paris of Appalachians. Oh, wow, it thanks the Oyster House in the credits. It is not a Yinzer Giallo. It is pretty fun. Oyster House, also in Innocent Blood. It's where the criminals all live. Movies shot in Pittsburgh, they have Giallo elements. Whispers in the Dark, BDSM, sexually obsessed patient who confesses his fantasies to a Manhattan psychiatrist. Soon begins sleeping with him. Of course, a series of murders begins that seem to echo the stories he tells are beyond the closer to an erotic cable thriller, an offshoot of the genre. That what disqualifies this film is it only uses Pittsburgh as a double for the true setting of the film. Manhattan, BS, Flashdance is not a jolly, but it has dance numbers and direction that would seem to fit right in. It also has a theme song titled Maniac that supposedly, I think this is IMDb BS, inspired by Michael Cimbello watching Joe Spinell in Maniac.
I told you not to go out tonight, didn't I? Every time you go out, this kind of thing happens.
Innocent Blood, there it is. Also filmed in Pittsburgh. It's a vampire movie with cop and gangster elements. Silence of the Lambs, it's got a musical number. It's got psychosexual identity issues in the killer's modus operandi, a strong female character in the strange male-dominated land, and being a sequel to the definitive American Jolly Manhunter, I can make an argument for it. However, this is another film that only uses Western Pennsylvania locations and claims they're in other parts of the country. No, you can stay overnight at Buffalo Bill's house now. The guy who runs it seems nice enough. He seems like a killer. Bloodsucking Fair is in Pittsburgh. It's more slasher than jolly. Film all about a chainsaw killer loose in Polish Hill. It's also the only movie I can think of where Mr. Rogers' friend Chef Don Brockett co-stars with Veronica Hart. It also sucks. Two Evil Eyes united Romero and Argento, the producer of Dawn of the Dead, to retell two Edgar Allan Poe stories while not directly referring to the city. And yes, it's instead Baltimore. These stories were well told. And hey, Argento once walked our streets along with Luigi Cozy. He also went to Monroeville Mall for Dawn of the Dead. The Dark Half has George Romero and the director sharing a story about a split personality shot in Edgewood and at WJ, Washington Jefferson College. It's based on a Stephen King story, and it's missing many of the elements of the jolly. Diabolique, 96 version, set in Pittsburgh, features Western PA native Sharon Stone. I'm going to disqualify this one, because the original film it's remaking, Les Diaboliques, was made in 1955 and predates the first accepted jolly, The Girl Who Knew Too Much. That's the one I'm going with. Stigmata is a film that aspires to be a religious-themed jolly, one set where non-believer hairdresser played by Patricia Arquette, or she has stigmata, wounds coming out of her hands in the same place of Christ. This is an audio podcast, but I put my hands out to show you. Beyond the fact this film's a boring mess, what keeps it off the list is the worst sin of all, only using Pittsburgh's setting for establishing shots, then making the rest of the movie in Los Angeles. There's a goth club in this that Pittsburgh horror fans and goth kids have made fun of for years. Why? There's absolutely no way we'd have something that cool in Pittsburgh ever. Come on. The Decade closed. Metropole closed. We can't keep places open. People fell out the window at Club Laga. None of these jokes will make you laugh. Is it a joke? Yes, that's Pittsburgh humor, unless you're from Pittsburgh. And I hope people all over the world listen to this. Desperate Measures, interesting premise. Local favorite Michael Keaton as the bone marrow cop means for his dying son. Killings are never seen. The cat and mouse game between the maniac and the detective is a real story. Riddle, movie about a stranger in a strange land. A college student looking for a missing brother in the small town of Riddle, PA, which does not exist, coming against the town's mysterious past, reinforced by Val Kilmer and William Sadler. The issue, well, shot in Brownsville and Pittsburgh, but not set there because there's no such town as Riddle. The beauty of these films is you can see them any way you wish. Your rules for what makes a movie a slasher, a jolly, or a typical film are all up to you, as you can see. I love discussing them. Does your town have its own Giallo form? Can you think of another jolly that was made in Pittsburgh? I don't know. I guess there are probably a few Seattle jolly, I would think, with all the rain. Here comes the rain again. There's definitely New York jolly, but I think New York is America, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you think it's either New York or LA in movies. I mean, Argento did a jolly in America. This depends on further research. If you're out there listening, let's talk. Let's get it going.
Carolyn again. In case you wondered, did Sam do drugs before this episode? Here's a way to tell. Does he sing numerous times? Does he laugh at jokes that don't even seem like jokes? Does he end the show without really ending the show? If so, he's emerging from a smoke cloud, the dankest of the dank bud, like some kind of laughing maniac from a 1930s government warning movie. It's appalling, it's sad, and it's a problem. Anyway, this has been BNS About Movies. Visit the site at bnsaboutmovies.com, email Sam at bnsaboutmovies@gmail.com, and look in the show notes for the Ko-Fi link. If you sponsor the show, you get to pick a movie for Sam to giggle like a schoolgirl over. Good day, dear listener. I once read that names which begin with the letter S are the names of snakes.